Family Affair, 1966. Cast then and now, 60 years later. The truth is hard to believe. Buffy Davis. Anissa Jones was born Mary Anissa Jones on March 11, 1958 in Lafayette, Indiana. She was only 8 years old when Family Affair premiered in 1966, stepping into the role that would define her life, Buffy Davis.
But I like it here with you and everybody.
As the youngest of the 3 children, Buffy wasn't just another cute TV kid. With her signature pigtails and constant companion, the Mrs. Beasley doll, she became a symbol of something deeper, the quiet loneliness of a child searching for comfort in a world that had taken too much too soon. Jones brought an authenticity that audiences felt immediately. The Mrs. Beasley doll became a nationwide merchandising phenomenon, not simply because it appeared on screen, but because of what Buffy made. It represents security, stability, and unconditional presence. Week after week, she embodied innocence in a way that resonated across millions of American homes.
Confident and everything.
But when the series ended in 1971, that carefully constructed world disappeared. At just 13, Jones left acting behind. Unlike many child stars today, there were limited protections for her earnings and little structured support to guide her transition into adolescence. She spent the next 5 years largely out of the public eye, navigating a life that no longer matched the image audiences remembered. On August 28, 1976, Anissa Jones died in Oceanside, California at the age of 18. The official cause was combined drug intoxication, ruled accidental. Her death came just 5 years and 28 days after the final episode aired. To many, Buffy Davis remains the safest child on American television. But Anissa Jones became something else entirely, the first and most haunting reminder of what Family Affair could never protect its stars from. Bill Davis. Brian Keith was born Robert Alba Keith on November 14, 1921 in Bayonne, New Jersey. By the time he joined Family Affair in 1966, he was 44 and already an established presence in Hollywood. As Bill Davis, he portrayed a successful engineer whose orderly, independent life is suddenly disrupted by the arrival of his orphaned nieces and nephew.
Well, Jody, I didn't want to talk about it because...
What set Keith apart was restraint. He didn't play Uncle Bill as a man instantly transformed into a perfect guardian. Instead, he revealed someone adjusting in real time, uncertain, occasionally distant, yet gradually learning responsibility. That grounded approach gave the series credibility and emotional weight. Off-screen, he held a unique position among the cast, securing partial ownership in the production and receiving 3 Primetime Emmy nominations for his performance.
Okay, now take care of her ear.
Production was even structured around him, with filming scheduled in concentrated 60-day blocks, so he could continue working in feature films. Co-star Kathy Garver later described him as generous and especially kind to the younger actors, reinforcing the quiet authority he projected on screen. His later years, however, were marked by profound hardship. In June 1997, his daughter Daisy died by suicide at age 27. 19 days later, on June 24, 1997, Brian Keith died by suicide at his home in Malibu. He was 75 and had been battling serious health issues, including cancer. For audiences, he had embodied stability, the adult figure who made everything feel secure. Yet his final chapter revealed how fragile even the strongest figures can be. The man who once anchored a fictional household ultimately faced a reality far more difficult to hold together. Mr. French. Sebastian Cabot was born Charles Sebastian Thomas Cabot on July 6, 1918 in London. When Family Affair premiered in 1966, he was 48 years old and already a seasoned performer with decades of experience across film, television, and voice work.
On second thoughts, Buffy...
To audiences, he became Mr. French, the impeccably mannered English gentleman whose presence brought structure and quiet grace to a suddenly chaotic household. Cabot's voice, often described as warm and resonant like polished mahogany, was instantly recognizable. Long before appearing on screen, he had narrated numerous Disney productions, giving him a familiarity that many viewers couldn't quite place, but immediately trusted. As Mr. French, he crafted a character built on contrast, formal yet deeply caring, reserved yet consistently compassionate.
2-year-old daughter and your great-grandmother,
His dynamic with Brian Keith created one of the show's defining balances. Precision meeting informality, discipline meeting instinct. Midway through the series, Cabot's health declined significantly, forcing him to step away temporarily. During his absence, John Williams was brought in as Nigel French, the butler's brother, ensuring continuity until Cabot returned. It was a testament to how essential his presence had become. When he came back, the show regained its original rhythm. After the series concluded in 1971, Cabot continued working particularly in voice roles while raising his 3 children. On August 23, 1977, he died in Victoria, British Columbia following a stroke. He was 59. Mr. French was never a limitation for him. It was instead a portrait one he shaped with intention, discipline, and quiet humanity, leaving behind a performance that still feels complete decades later. Jody Davis. Johnny Whitaker was born on December 13, 1959 in Van Nuys, California. He was just 6 years old when he was recommended by Brian Keith for a role in Family Affair.
We'd like to hear the true story.
Paired alongside Anissa Jones, the producers quickly reworked the script to make their characters twins, and Jody Davis was born. With his bright red hair and disarming sincerity, Whitaker brought a rare authenticity to the role. Jody wasn't just comic relief, he could shift from playful to deeply emotional in a single moment. What made his performance stand out was how effortless it felt. He didn't seem to be acting so much as simply existing within the world of the show. For 5 seasons, he became one of its emotional anchors. But when the series ended, the transition into adulthood proved difficult.
School teacher, but he taught industrial arts and crafts, and during this...
By the time he turned 18, much of the money he had earned during his childhood career was gone, an issue that affected many young performers before stronger financial protections were enforced. Personal struggles followed, including substance abuse, compounded by the loss of his former co-star, Anissa Jones, in 1976. An intervention eventually changed the course of his life. Whitaker, committed to recovery, achieved sobriety and chose to transform his experience into something meaningful. He went on to become a certified addiction counselor and founded programs dedicated to helping others facing similar challenges. He later revisited his past with appearances in the 2002 Family Affair reboot and on Oprah Where Are They Now in 2016. As of 2026, at 66 years old, Johnny Whitaker remains active in recovery work. His story stands as one of resilience, evolving from a child audiences felt protective of into someone who ultimately learned to rebuild his own life and guide others toward doing the same. Sissy Davis. Kathy Garver was born Kathleen Marie Garver on December 13, 1945, in Long Beach, California. She was 20 years old when she stepped into Family Affair at the last minute, replacing the original actress during the pilot stage. What could have been a risky casting change became one of the show's greatest strengths through her portrayal of Sissy Davis. As the eldest sibling, Sissy wasn't defined by charm or novelty.
No, this will date the show. You can't wear miniskirts and...
She was the stabilizing force, the one holding the household together when everything else felt uncertain. Garver brought a grounded intelligence to the role, avoiding sentimentality and instead presenting maturity as something lived in and believable. Her performance gave emotional credibility to a story that depended on balance between vulnerability and responsibility. Off-screen, Garver's experience differed significantly from many of her younger co-stars. Her parents ensured that her earnings were properly managed, allowing her to move into adulthood with financial stability.
Green, but kids, are you kidding me? So Brian...
After the series ended in 1971, she built a multifaceted career, writing books, narrating audiobooks, producing children's content, and continuing to act. She also returned for the 2002 Family Affair reboot, maintaining a visible connection to the show's legacy. In her personal life, she married David Travis in 1981, and the couple had one son, Reed. Their marriage lasted over 4 decades until Travis passed away from cancer on August 30th, 2025, a profound loss after a long partnership. As of 2026, Kathy Garver is 80 years old and remains the longest-living principal cast member of the original series. She continues to actively engage with fans and preserve its history. Her journey stands apart, not defined by collapse or disappearance, but by continuity, reinvention, and the rare ability to turn endurance into a lasting creative legacy. Emily Turner. Nancy Walker was born Anna Myrtle Sawyer on May 10, 1922 in Philadelphia. By the time she joined Family Affair in its fifth and final season, she was 47 years old and already a seasoned performer shaped by years on Broadway and in classic MGM productions.
Never mind, I'll finish up with Willa.
On the show, she appeared as Emily Turner, a part-time housekeeper brought in to assist the household during its later chapter. The role itself was modest with limited screen time compared to the core cast. But Walker's presence carried a different kind of weight. She brought timing, precision, and a natural authority that only comes from decades of experience. Even in a supporting capacity, she added texture to the series, reinforcing the sense that this television family existed within a broader, more lived-in world.
I made a point of never leaving her, really.
After Family Affair concluded in 1971, Walker's career continued to expand in ways that would ultimately eclipse her brief role on the show. She became widely recognized for playing Ida Morgenstern, Rhoda's sharp-tongued but lovable mother on Rhoda, a performance that introduced her to a new generation of viewers. She also became a familiar face in American households as Rosie in a long-running paper towel advertising campaign, blending humor with relatability in a way few could replicate. In 1980, she directed Can't Stop the Music, further demonstrating her versatility within the entertainment industry. Walker married twice and had one daughter, Miranda. On March 25, 1992, she died in Studio City, California, at the age of 69 from lung cancer. Within Family Affair, Emily Turner may have been a late addition. But in the larger story of American comedy, Nancy Walker was never a footnote. She was already a legacy. Miss Faversham. Heather Angel was born on February 9, 1909 in Oxford, England. By the time she appeared in Family Affair, she was 57 years old, bringing with her more than 3 decades of experience in British and American cinema.
Well, I'm flattered.
On the show, she portrayed Miss Faversham, a refined supporting figure connected to the world of Mr. French. Though her role was not central to the plot, it added a sense of history and sophistication, subtly expanding the universe beyond the immediate family. Angel's performance carried a quiet elegance. She didn't demand attention. Instead, she enriched the tone of each scene she entered. Her presence suggested a past one shaped by manners, tradition, and lived experience, giving greater depth to the already distinctive character of Mr. French.
Did you hail me?
Why, yeah.
However, her real life would take a devastating turn during the series' final season. In 1970, Angel witnessed the murder of her husband, director Robert B. Sinclair, during a home invasion. The couple had been married since 1944, sharing 26 years together before the sudden and violent loss. The incident stood in stark contrast to the gentle, controlled world portrayed on television, a reality no script could soften or resolve. Despite this trauma, she continued to live and occasionally work, carrying forward with a quiet resilience that mirrored the composure she often portrayed on screen. On December 13, 1986, Heather Angel died in Santa Barbara, California at the age of 77. The cause was cancer. Her story remains one of the most striking contrasts within the Family Affair legacy, where a woman who embodied grace and stability on screen endured one of the most shocking tragedies off it. Nigel French. John Williams was born on April 15, 1903 in Chalfont, St. Giles, England. By the time he stepped into Family Affair, he was in his early 60s, bringing with him a long and distinguished career in theater, film, and television. His role as Nigel French did not emerge from creative planning, but from necessity. When Sebastian Cabot, who played Mr. French, became seriously ill during the series, the production faced a difficult challenge: how to maintain continuity without disrupting the tone audiences had come to trust. Williams was cast as Nigel French, the brother of Mr. French, a character designed not to replace, but to temporarily sustain the role within the story. What made his performance notable was its restraint. Williams understood that his purpose was not to redefine the character dynamic, but to preserve it. He brought a slightly softer variation to the role, less formal but equally devoted, allowing the show to continue without jarring shifts. His approach reflected the discipline of a seasoned stage actor, one who recognized that sometimes the most important contribution is invisibility. Nigel French was never meant to be permanent, yet during that brief period, Williams provided exactly what the series required: stability and transition. When Cabot returned, the original balance of the show resumed seamlessly, thanks in part to the careful groundwork Williams had laid. After his time on Family Affair, Williams continued his career quietly. He died in 1983 at the age of 80. In a cast remembered for its central figures, his contribution stands apart. He was not the face audiences celebrated, but the presence that ensured the story never lost its footing when it mattered most. Ted Gaines. John Hubbard was born on April 14, 1914, in East Chicago, Indiana. By the time he appeared in Family Affair, he was 52 years old, bringing with him years of steady work as a dependable character actor. On the series, he played Ted Gaynor, the business partner of Uncle Bill, a role that, while limited to 8 episodes, carried quiet importance. Ted Gaynor wasn't written to dominate scenes or drive major storylines. Instead, he served a more subtle function. He represented the version of Bill Davis's life before the children arrived, structured, professional, and centered around work rather than family. Through their interactions, audiences could better understand what had changed and what had been left behind. It was a grounded presence that gave context to Bill's transformation without ever demanding attention for itself. Hubbard approached the role with precision and restraint, qualities that defined much of his career. He understood the value of supporting roles in ensemble storytelling, the kind that strengthened the foundation without becoming the focal point. In many ways, his contribution reflects how television often works at its best, built not only on stars, but on the reliability of those working just outside the spotlight. Off-screen, his life followed a steadier path than many of his contemporaries. He was married for nearly 50 years to his wife, Lois, and together they had 3 children. His long marriage and family life stood in contrast to the more transient nature of the characters he often portrayed. John Hubbard passed away in 1988 at the age of 74. He may not be the name most viewers recall first, but his presence helped make the world of Family Affair feel complete proof that even the least visible roles can be essential. Beyond the core cast, Family Affair was quietly supported by a group of familiar faces who helped make its world feel real. Characters who appeared briefly did their job and left a lasting impression. Betty Lynn, who played Miss Lee, Uncle Bill's secretary, was already beloved by audiences from The Andy Griffith Show. By 2026, she stands as the longest living person connected to the production, reaching the remarkable age of 99. Her presence links Family Affair to an even broader era of classic American television. Sherry Alberoni portrayed Sharon James Sissy's close friend. While her role on the series was relatively small, her career extended into voice acting, with Hanna-Barbera contributing to another iconic corner of TV history. As of 2026, she is still alive, representing one of the remaining living connections to the show. Carl Lucas appeared as Scotty Parker, the building superintendent who added a sense of everyday life to the upscale setting. He passed away in 1992, but his role helped ground the series in something recognizable. Greg Federson played Greg Bartlett Sissy's on-screen boyfriend, and notably he was also the son of producer Don Federson. His relationship with Kathy Garver extended beyond the script, as the two briefly dated in real life. They weren't the stars, but without them, the world wouldn't have felt complete. 60 years after Family Affair first aired, its story feels both comforting and unsettling. From the innocence of Buffy Davis to the quiet strength of Bill Davis, the show promised that love could hold everything together. But the real lives behind the camera told a more complicated truth marked by loss, resilience, and survival. Some found stability, others faced unimaginable hardship. So here's the question. Was Family Affair a reflection of reality, or an illusion we all wanted to believe?